Welcome back to Brian Knows Movies. This is See It, a show about movies and stuff. I am joined by a very good friend of mine, Shauna, joining me from the West Coast to talk about film. She's a film lover just like me, and we're going to talk about all the news as well as really jump into the summer a little bit more and talk about what's going on this summer, what we expect to happen in terms of the box office draw. Hey, Shauna, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Shauna. As Brian stated, I like movies. Glad to be here to kind of discuss what's coming up this summer.
Yeah, Sean and I were at the same university for years, and she was one of my movie buddies back then. I know that she's also part of a text thread where we talk about anything and everything that comes out. I probably get to more movies than she does at this point, mainly because I'm doing this as a career. But she gets out to see things here and there. In fact, she just saw one of my favorite movies of the year, if not my favorite movie of the year, 1001, and we were writing praises down in the text thread. But since the topic, what did you think of 1001 and Tiana Taylor and that whole property?
It was a good movie. So again, like as I stated before, like Tiana Taylor did an amazing job. It's beautiful to see how she's evolved as an actress. I really love like how it captured the essence of New York, and I think her being, of course, like the actress for that, it was very natural. But I think really like the bits and the pieces that they added into, when they talked, had a little radio snippets and kind of like discussing what's current and like I don't want to give too much away if people haven't watched, but I really think it's a strong, beautifully written piece.
100%. It's a story about family and trying to keep families together and to take care of those who are in some of the worst possible predicaments possible in terms of earnings and income and just being part of the working poor. But also, it's a story about gentrification. You get to see New York change as the family changes over time, and it is eye-opening and heartbreaking. And but yet, there's still something very inspiring at the undercurrent of that film. So I've already told you guys to go see 1001. It was a five-star film for me. I think that it is award-winning material. Tiana Taylor really holds that film together. She does a lot of heavy lifting. She looked beautiful at the Met Gala, if I could say so myself, this past weekend. I am worried about Tiana because this should have been her coming out party. It is her coming out party in terms of her as a established, legitimate actor. Of course, she was in Coming to America and she's had small bit parts in the past. But now her next film, unfortunately, is this White Man Can't Jump remake that's coming out on Hulu. It's I don't have too much faith in it. The director is Carl Maddock, who basically does music videos, but he also directed that remake of House Party, which outside of Kid Cudi was almost unwatchable. I really hope that this doesn't stop the momentum of her getting into some really serious roles. I think that I'm sorry, White Man Can Jump filmed before 1001, so maybe it's just a timing thing, but I'm really hoping we don't have a issue. Remember what happened to Eddie Murphy when he had Dreamgirls come out and he was up for an Oscar and he should have won an Oscar, but then Norbit came out that same month that the Oscars happened, and Norbit was terrible. Well, he had shot Norbit a couple years before Dreamgirls, but because he was nominated for all this stuff, they put Norbit out there because they thought it would make some money, and it did. But that probably sunk his Oscar buzz, his Oscar award. So I'm hoping that she doesn't experience something similar. But anyway, we're off topic. I don't want to spend too much time on 1001 because there's so many things in the news. Specifically, we have our first writer strike from the Writers Guild of America. This is the writer strike that we have not seen since 2007. And so this is going to affect all of Hollywood, movies, TV shows, streaming, you name it. And I wanted to talk about what's going on, what's happening, and let you guys know as viewers, should we support it, should you not support it. Basically, the Writers Guild of America and the different studios have been basically negotiating a new contract for the last several months, and they have been as far apart on certain issues as you can possibly imagine. The main three issues, there seems to be more, but the main three issues that I see from reading everything from Associated Press to CBS News to you name it, is this issue of pay. Pay is at the center of this. Writers are making 14% less than what they were just 5 years ago. This is pre-pandemic levels. They are getting even worse shake if they are a writer slash producer on a show. A lot of this has to do with streaming services and how think about it. A season of Law and Order Special Victims Unit would be like 30 episodes or something like that. Well, a season of You or a season of Stranger Things or a season of you name it, what is that? 13, 14 episodes at the most. So you have way dramatically less episodes. Also, they aren't getting any type of residuals checks off of those properties. So for say, let's say that somebody used to write for King of the Hill, and King of the Hill is on for whatever amount of time it was on, but then it becomes syndicated and other networks start to show it as reruns. Well, anytime a rerun runs, the actors, the producers, the writers, they get a residual check to help to basically give them some sort of guaranteed income from that show. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. There's no residual checks because there's no syndication that's really worth the value, if you will. So you have writers' pay issues, you have job security issues. They're trying to shrink writers' rooms. We already talked about the shortened seasons, cancellations galore, way more than what they used to. You know, these streamers will just cut a show off halfway through and not blink an eye. And then finally, there's this threat of artificial intelligence writing our TV shows and movies. So that's a really quick breakdown. Shauna, what do you think about this whole situation?
I think I feel like this is just it was bound to happen necessarily just because like as we can see like with inflation and of course like as you said like this navigation into like doing more streaming because another issue that they're facing is that like when you have public shows right and they're being syndicated but they're on these public networks you have more access to the data of like how many views are getting where this information is going but there's a lack of transparency with numbers and data that they have. And that's another thing that they're wanting to look into. So, so how am I getting paid? Like, what are the streams? Like, what are the streams? Who are the users? And getting that additional data is important as well. Um, and yeah, but I'm all about giving people what they fairly deserve because, especially with the pandemic, there's an influx of people streaming and wanting to, watching more from home. And even now, we talked about like, I don't get to go out to the movie theaters as much, being a mom, but like still now you have access to being able to see those films right from home. Like I watched 1001, it's still in theaters, but you can watch it from my couch, right? You're paying this extra cost. And so like what's being handed off to the writers and being passed down accordingly.
100%. So they want to change the game and have this thing called viewership based residuals. So it would be similar to like the network based residuals off of syndication and reruns and stuff like that, only basing the residual checks that people get or the writers get based on how many people are viewing the content long term. So for example, if you start watching The Office, I don't know where The Office is streaming right now. I think it was taken off wherever.
I know it's
but
on Peacock.
on Peacock, if you're on Peacock watching The Office stopped like 10 years ago, right? Or whatever it was. And so those people should be getting residuals off those views on Peacock. You can go to Netflix and it says that these shows are the top 5 or top 10 or whatever. Well, what does that really mean? Does it mean that we got millions of people watching these shows, or is it a top 10 and nobody's on Netflix right now? There's only 20,000 people watching this show. You don't know. We don't know. The writers don't know. The directors, nobody knows what these viewership numbers are. They keep these numbers under lock and key. I'm assuming because of competitive advantages, or they're trying to put on airs or hide something. That's what it sounds real fishy why they won't share those, especially since Nielsen ratings were so big in network TV shows forever. The other issue that you see that they want to resolve is this issue of straight to streaming movies and making sure writers are getting paid correctly for that too. So they want to impose that any film that comes directly to streaming services that has a budget that's higher than $12 million which is pretty much every film at this point. Even independent films cost more than $12 million. But those films, they would get the same contract that you would see if if you were to if it was a theatrical release, because I guess the contracts are different. Um, Between those two things, in terms of revenue sharing, we're going to be seeing they want basically almost a $500 million increase in pay. I think it's like $420 million increase in pay to writers that would happen per year. Where they were before negotiations broke down was the studios had offered basically a package that would increase the pay or the revenue sharing for writers to 86 million, and basically that was just bumping up a pay increase for their minimums a bit. So they're really far apart on that, and some of the other things that they're dealing with is I'm sorry, you gonna say something, China? I'll let you get in there.
No,
I'm
you
sorry,
can
I
finish.
keep
I
going.
was just gonna like when we're talking about the pay and like bringing up the previous writer strike. That was what 2008. But I remember like a big deal on like how everything ended was the fact that like you also had directors, right? They were striking as well. But I believe in
Hmm.
like the final deal that was made. Um, I think writers were kind of like undercut a bit during that deal. Like the directors copped the deal as well. So I'm like really interested to see like what the outcome's going to be and how long it's going to go. But that was something I was adding on when you were talking about kind of like the price, like what is it financially, you know, writers
Hmm.
are expecting or demanding. But
100%. Something that really scares me in terms of this whole AI thing that's going on right now. I think that scares me with all in all disciplines in terms of AI taking people's jobs. They want also that the contract that's negotiated eliminates the ability to use AI. They don't want AI taking previous work that a human wrote a show. Say a human wrote. I'm trying to think of a Bluey. We both got kids. You know, a human writes Bluey, and now for season 5 of Bluey, ChatGPT takes that original script and they're able to develop original programming from that script. So basically, AI just replaces the writer. They want that not to happen. Also, they don't want AI to stimulate and source new material and then ask writers to come back and punch it up basically at the end. Because basically, that's just taking more money out of writers' hands and it's turning it over to the hands of AI. And the final thing is that they've decreased these writing rooms so significantly that a lot of writers aren't getting opportunities, and writers are also overworked in these writing rooms right now. It's like 3 to 4 people in these writing rooms, especially for streaming shows, when it should definitely be more. So they're wanting to increase writing rooms as well. Basically, it all boils down to pay me fairly, don't overwork me like I'm some sort of I'm not a partner in this, and I want some job security. I want to make sure I'm not being replaced by a bot, and I think that that's fair. One thing I will say, and I'll get your opinion on this. I read a lot about unions and strikes and labor, those types of things. I've read a lot about that in the past. I can't think of really um, any example where unions were wrong in terms of what they were requesting or unreasonable for what they were requesting. We almost had a strike with the railroads just a couple of months ago. And what were they striking for? They were striking for sick days. They didn't get any sick days. They didn't get any vacation days. They said work till you die, like you're John Henry or something. That's what they were striking. These companies are profiting so much and not sharing with workers their fair share. We're not. I do believe in capitalism somewhat. I do think that there should be a profit motive, but that profit motive shouldn't be so big. Your fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders so big to maximize profit that you're stomping on little guys to get there.
yeah, you hit on a lot. Now I have to
I'll
circle
be going.
back.
I'm sorry.
Um,
This really got me
no, it's
fired up.
fine. It's fine. But I think like so one of the things that's kind of really exciting is this topic is like AI. So, what was it? A couple weeks ago, the Drake song that was released by that guy Ghostwriter and how they had to take it down, right? Because of he was making money because it hit a streaming service. I can't remember. It was Spotify, one of those.
Hmm.
But like you kind of were all in the midst of like hearing back of like what is going to be the industry stance on like recycled material. And then there's actually a, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a magazine, but they take like subscriptions from other people, like other writers, like they can contribute to the magazine. And
Hmm.
so when kind of like AI and ChatGPT was coming out, they saw an influx of stories, and then somehow they were able to realize that humans weren't writing these. These were coming from actual, these are AI written materials. So they had to completely stop accepting submissions. But I think one other thing when we're talking about like AI and Chat GPT services and um like applications like Chat GPT is that it's kind of like we're talking about plagiarism, right? Because
Hmm.
where is they
Hmm.
getting that information? They're like they're scraping the internet, and so it opens up just tons of other avenues. And like I think it's interesting that the industry would want to utilize it because it's opening them up to so many other kind of like maybe legal issues of like copywriting and such like that. But so naturally, that should be a no. But again, I am with the writers. I believe they should be paid more money. And also, because what's going to happen? Like depending on the shows, what are we going to watch?
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely
And then when
value
we're
my
talking about the small writing rooms, I was thinking of Tyler Perry. They're running by his kind of
I
motto.
I thought about that too. I thought about too. I went and looked up some of his shows, but he seemed like he does have writers. It's just like one other person with him. But it's like, come on,
Yeah.
man. But that's what I thought about too. But there's also like I wrote down some examples, like Downton Abbey, for example, which is a huge show. I don't think it's on anymore, but everybody loved Downton Abbey. That was written by one person. Um Julian Fellows. Fargo was written by Noah Hawley. He wrote every episode of that. True Detective is written by one person. So they have these people who are basically genius writers and auteurs that can create a lot of material really quickly. Aaron Sorkin was known for this back in the day to do this type of stuff like West Wing and things like that, where they either can do it by themselves or very small staff so they can keep the same voice. And one of the things that the studios are pushing back on is that you're not allowing these auteurs to create the shows that they want. Like if you're basically requiring that you have 6 to 12 writers in a room and we have one main writer, then we're basically paying these people for nothing because we're really paying for their main name, right? Which I don't know how I feel about that. I'm kind of up in the air on both of those, but I think that that's probably the best point that the studios have made, but I don't even know if I agree with that still, even with that point being made. We have a couple of people who are joining the live as you come in. We're talking about the writer's strike. The Writers Guild of America has went on strike as of today. If you have anything to say or any questions or comments, go ahead and put them in the comments section, and I'll get to you. Um, so yeah, what's going to happen? Let's see. What happens now? Well, if you were to watch late night tonight, if you're a late night fan, those shows they'll be showing reruns for a while. Saturday Night Live will be showing reruns because all that stuff gets written up sometimes up to the um, minute. So that's probably the biggest thing that's going to happen in the short term. Um, Everything else is kind of it's a delayed reaction because seasons are already done shooting. The fall season might be affected, but the current seasons that you're watching on TV are not going to be affected. I'm a big Will Trent fan, so Will Trent's going to finish out his season, which I'm excited about, especially since they left on this big cliffhanger this last week. In terms of movies, in terms of streamings, who knows? This is the first real strike we've had since the streamers have become as big as they are. We do know they have a lot of movies and shows already in the bank, ready to go. But they don't really have a season. They just kind of just put stuff out there. So who knows how long they're going to be able to keep going without um, needing writers? I don't know. I couldn't find anything that was had any type of consensus online. Did you, Shauna, or did you hear anything about that or see anything about that?
No,
No.
not really. But like just off the top of my head, like I think there are two things that came to my mind that like as far as streaming services is one because like this only affecting like writers within the US, right? Or is it the entire industry?
It's affecting just the writers in the U.S., the Writers Guild of America.
So pull in more foreign films. And then the second part was like, because I believe like didn't the influx of uh reality TV that was kind of around the time as that previous. strike.
Real.
So I don't
That's how we
know.
get all the Real Housewives and they created those shows because they don't call them writers, they call them producers because it's reality. For these people are just
Yeah.
supposed. Even though I know people who've been on reality shows, that stuff's written. Come on now, those scenarios are made up. But anyway, 100%. I think we are going to see some influx, and with Love Is Blind and all this other stuff that's being so hot right now, I'm thinking they're probably like, we'll just keep making these shows, and we'll be able to kind of withstand the. We'll be able to hold out. The writers are going to need us before we need them because we can just make this cheap material. I feel like that's going to be their stance, at least for the next 30 days or so.
Like, where do you take it? Have you watched a show like 90 Day Fiance? Like, they've been all over the globe. Like, where do you go? Intergalactic.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I'm not a big reality show fan. The only thing that I've that I guess is semi reality show that I've liked is like the singing shows, but I don't even watch those really anymore. So I have no idea what they're gonna do. But I guess we will see. One other thing I will say is what's different about this though, and I talked about this. I think when Anita was on the show a couple of weeks ago. None of these streaming services make money. None of them turn a profit. Netflix, as old as Netflix is, go all the way back to where you used to be able to get the DVDs in the mail. Netflix has never turned a profit ever. HBO Max with its Game of Thrones prequels and Last of Us and all this Succession never has turned a profit. Amazon Prime never has turned a profit. So Disney Plus never has turned a profit. So they're trying to they're trying to continue to make as many shows as possible, many movies as possible, hoping that they can get the subscriptions up to start to turn a profit. But it has not happened. The revenue that they're getting for the subscription is not keeping up with the cost of the shows and just keeping the servers going and all that type of stuff. And there is all these are publicly traded companies, and there are starting to be some demands. Hey, we are wanting to see some dividends here from these shows. I had already predicted that we're going to see some of these streamers start to consolidate to be able to save some money. So like HBO completely taking over Hulu, or Netflix buying, I don't know, Netflix buying Disney Plus or something like that. I can see that happening in the future. I also
Really?
see 100%. I
You
Peacock
think
and some of
Disney
the
Plus will grow?
Peacock, Paramount Plus, all those really smaller streamers, Showtime, those smaller streaming services, like, they're gonna get ate up by these bigger ones because they want their catalog and they'll be able to get all of their users onto the the platform. So, for example, Paramount Plus, it has original programming, it has shows, but it doesn't have that many where it would like really weigh down a Netflix server. But they would get all of those subscriptions to Netflix, so that helps them make more money, right? That's something that's going. It's going the next 2 years. I come right, take it to the bank. These streaming services are going to consolidate. Also, these streaming services are going to continue to get more expensive because they want to turn a profit. So if you're paying, like me, I think I pay like $20 a month for Netflix because I have like multiple TVs and I have like the 4K, I have like one of the premium packages. I wouldn't be surprised if that's $30 this time next year, just because they want to turn a profit. And then, of course, they're going to lose subscribers, which is why they're trying to crack down on password sharing now. That password sharing crackdown is to prepare them for the additional price increases that they're planning later on down the road. So it's like, okay, I'll just password share. You can't password share because they're going to crack down on that. Either you pay for the service or you don't. And they think they're going to be able to keep enough people paying for the service to turn a profit. So that's what's going to happen. And this is especially if the writers get as much money. I mean, $500 million is nothing to wink at. If that does happen, and I do hope it does, expect these things to start to happen a lot quicker. Also, I know I'm gonna let you get in here. Also, I think that we're gonna see a lot less shows and a lot less movies, original movies on these streamers too, just because it's just too expensive to make.
You unpacked a lot. So
Yeah, I'm sorry.
go back. It's fine. It's fine. But I think like I think an alternative to like buying them out, because like, okay, so now you have like subscription packages, right, where they're bundling services together. So you have
Hmm.
Hulu, ESPN, and is it Disney Plus? I think so.
Yeah,
I
they
think
have they
that
have a
might be
package together. Spotify and
better.
Showtime has a package together, and somebody else. Uh huh.
Yeah. So I don't know, because it's also, because the thing is it's you're running into the same issue, because you raise the prices and people stop, then they're like, well, I'm cutting this out my budget. A lot of times you have like Dave Ramsey be like, cut out the coffee. So then like, cut out the streaming services, right? And then you have people who are, people will bootleg the show. You have the
Hmm.
internet, you have different vices that are going to work against you. It's still nice to see the original programming, but it'll be interesting to see like how consumers react to the higher prices. But
Yeah, like I said, I think that they know that they're going to lose. They're going to lose people, but if they gain enough revenue from the increased cost from people who stick, I think that that's what they're fine with. Anytime cost goes up, demand goes down. That's simple economics. But I think that that's the trigger that they're going to pull. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know how they continue to exist. In fact, you're already seeing it. Disney laid off 7,000 people recently. They already Discovery that bought um, HBO is talking about how they need to cut back on programming. Disney Plus with the whole MCU, there's questions about they need to cut back on that type of stuff. So these CEOs and CFOs are starting to put the pressure on the creative teams that, hey, either we get more subscriptions or we're going to have to cut some of this stuff out. So, and my thing is, if you're
but
going to increase the price, then you're going to also decrease the quantity of shows that I'm consuming. I just don't know whether it's going to work. The only thing I'd say is that they have in their back pocket. I don't think that cable as we know it is ever going to come back in terms of a full scale everybody. So it's like, what are you going to do? Either going to watch our stuff and pay for our bundles, or you're going to be SOL, if I can say that.
yeah, but I think like just hinting at the layoffs, like you kind of have to really see the numbers. Like, are these layoffs due to like a lack of um like a lack of revenue, or is it based on like the macroeconomics, like our current economy? Because a lot of companies are laying off a lot of people, and some of it's not even because like their current financial situation, is because they're anticipating. I mean, there's mixed results. You can say it's because they're anticipating loss of revenue, a recession, or sometimes it's gonna like they wanted to cut these people, but now they have kind of a reason that people can be sympathetic to, right? Um, but I don't know. Do you think it's wholeheartedly because of a lack of revenue, or could it be kind of like what's happening within our economy and other sectors
I
as
know
well?
I can't directly source it right now, but I have read articles, listened to shows where when you're a publicly traded company. I know Shauna knows this is for my viewers. When you're publicly traded companies, they have these revenue calls or these calls that you can join to talk about the lifeblood of the company. And there's been direct quotes from these CEOs and people who run these conference calls about how they are downsizing and doing different things in these spaces specifically because these streamers are bleeding money. Like it's a direct quote that they're doing when they cut all those people off of Netflix. They're basically their whole diversity department over in Netflix that they were touting the black voices and all that type of stuff. They cut all them people and they cited the need to downsize to essential workers and employees within Netflix in terms of the creative side because the streamer was bleeding money. So I wish it was a something in terms of like brace for impact. One of the things about having these interest rates really high is also supposed to try to chill the market in terms of employment and stuff. But usually that wouldn't really affect entertainment because entertainment is usually kind of protected from that. In our worst economy ever during the Great Depression, towards the end of the Great Depression, going into World War II, the average American was going to the movie once a week. So even though everybody was broke, everybody still wanted to go to the movies. And that's something you see has been pretty consistent across times, no matter recession, inflation, whatever. People want to be entertained. So that's I don't know. I don't know.
Mm. Yeah, that is true. That does. I'll retract my last statement because I do know there was statistics on kind of like during the pandemic and like or like in general, like when people are cutting money, like trying to figure out how to budget. Like sometimes it's like, nah, I need to be entertained. I'm at home,
Hmm.
these kids gonna watch something. I don't know, but we'll see.
So yeah, if anybody has any comments about the writer strike, please put them in the comment section below. I want to move on to our next topic. It's a little bit more exciting and a little bit more lighthearted, if you will. I want to talk about box office. This summer specifically, we have so many movies coming out. I think that I talked about there being something about 50 movies coming out this summer. A little bit more than 50 movies coming out this summer. I want to focus specifically on the theatrical releases of the box office, and we're going to try to determine a couple of things. Who's going to win the box office weekend to weekend, and what movies, I say the top 5 movies we think are going to gross the most this summer. So we're going to go by release date, actually. And we're just going to go really quick. Is this movie going to win the box office for the weekend, or is the current king of the box office, which right now is Super Mario Brothers? I think this is the third week on top of the box office for weekend sales. Is going to stay on top. We'll also talk about the films a little bit, what we're excited about, what we can expect. Is that good, Shauna?
Yeah.
So, our first week is this weekend, actually. This is the start of the summer movie release schedule, and it's a big one. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 comes out May 5th, this Friday. I saw the movie at the premiere screening, and I have my review of this coming out tomorrow, actually. So be on the lookout on Brian Knows Movies YouTube channel for my full review. But I will tell you this. I believe that Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie that I saw, even though it's 2.5 hours, it does have some minor issues with it. It is the best Marvel film since Avengers Endgame. It is that good. It's better than everything that came out in Phase 4. I know that's saying a lot. I thought about it hard. It's better than Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. It's better than Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. It's better than Spider-Man: No Way Home. It's better than all of them. And by quite a margin, it's just so well done. I'm excited to see what people think about this movie. But the question of the day is, will this be number one in the box office this weekend? Or will Mario continue to dominate? What do you think, Shauna?
I think it's a tough one because I think this is an anticipated film, but yet I think the thing with Mario Brothers and why they've been done so well is because like it's multi generational fun, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
kids are still playing the game, parents played it before, but then they've also been in the box office for a while. I think they might this weekend they might still stay strong, but then I think maybe in the upcoming weekends, Guardians Galaxy might kick them out.
Yeah, I think Guardians is going to destroy Super Mario. Super Mario's
This
been out for a
weekend,
whole month now. Oh yeah. The last update I think I saw was $40 million is what Super Mario made this weekend. If Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't open up with at least $95 million for this opening weekend, I'd be very surprised. Super Mario probably dropped down to about 25 million this weekend. And I think that the reason I think that is Guardians is it's a property that is also I want to take little kids to this Guardians movie because it's kind of heavy, but Marvel is known for its preteens, its teenagers, so on and so forth. So as well as its adults fans. So I think that the same people who would go see Super Mario that are my age, they've already seen it, and they're gonna want something new. So I think that Guardians is going to take the lead here and be our first film of the um, of the year. Yeah. Let me find out where I did with Super Mario Bros. So Super Mario, you're gone. We're putting Guardians here, and we're moving to May 12th. So we have a couple movies coming out in May 12th. Book Club, The Next Chapter, which is a sequel to I think a 2015-2016 film, same cast, and then the return of Robert Rodriguez, an amazing action film director who's directing Ben Affleck and Hypnotic on March 12th. I'm sorry, May 12th. Do you know anything about any of these movies? I know you said you saw a book club in the first one or something. You're excited about that one, but are you? Do you know anything about these films or excited about any of these films?
I am excited to see Hypnotic. I think book club is kind of like a nice chill weekend vibe. I don't know as much about it, but it was something that I was kind of interested in, like one of those feel good type of movies. But I think Hypnotic is one that I'm definitely interested in seeing, just because I'm just kind of like a sci-fi thriller fan. And of course, Ben Affleck is a nice addition. Um, but I definitely think Guardians of the Galaxy is gonna beat them this weekend.
Yeah, easily. They're mainly because they haven't even really promoted Hypnotic. Hypnotic's a rated R film. It's not going to beat Guardians. So both of those films are out of there. Then it gets kind of spicy. Guardians of the Galaxy in its third week, going head to head to with Fast and Furious X, the 10th installment in the franchise. I think that some of these films are fun. I don't like most of them. Um, but it's Fast X. You know, these movies bring in a ton of money every single year. I've learned to stop doubting this film. It's kind of like the Transformers film under Michael Bay. Everybody just went and saw them. I think that's going to happen here. Are you a Fast and Furious fan?
I After the second one, I just haven't kept up. But I do know that like this is somewhat it's very anticipated Fast X just because that uh because like Fast Nine, right? The way that it ended, like this is supposed to pick up from a dramatic ending. So I think it's highly anticipated with the fact that community Fast and Furious fans, but I don't think it's gonna beat out Guardians of the Galaxy, or maybe not. I don't know.
Really? Fast X is. Let me see what the last Fast movie did.
I don't. I don't think so. Didn't they? How many did they say in total that they're gonna do? Like, when does this end?
I don't think they're ever going to end. It's supposed to be. It was supposed to end. Um, um, I think this Fast X is supposed to have one more movie. But this is supposed to end on a cliffhanger. The Fast X, and then there's supposed to be another movie after that.
I know there's an 11. I thought that there was some sort of conversation with Paul Walker where they like promised to do X amount of movies. Let's see. I don't believe I made that up. You're looking to see how good Fast and the Furious Nine did.
Hmm. Fast and Furious 9, during its opening weekend, made $70 million that opening weekend. So normally, like I said, I think that Guardians will make about 90 its first weekend, probably about 50. Usually it drops precipitously by 20 or 30,000 each week. Maybe even more than that if it has really bad reviews. I think that Guardians is going to have some staying power because of the um, quality of the film. The film is long though; it's 2.5 hours long. So usually when movies stay on top for a long time, think about Top Gun Maverick, think about Avatar: The Way of Water, those types of films. Think about Super Mario. It's because people keep going back to them. They're going for multiple viewings. It's not because of new views. It's because people either their kids want to go again or they just like the movie a bunch and they're going to go see it two or three times. I think Guardians is one of those movies that's going to do that. Um, I don't think it's going to beat Fast X, but I'm willing to roll with it and say that it will. I think it might be close. I think that Guardians could probably eat some of Fast X's money and say that Fast
That's
X. Hmm?
it's two it's 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours. It's long.
Well, I'm thinking about like the repeat viewing, the like, are you gonna go see a two
Uh,
and a half hour movie a second time? Do you have time to do that type of thing, as opposed to the first initial viewing? I'm trying to see it again on Thursday. So in terms of Guardians, Fast X is 2 hours. It's the same, basically 3 or 4 minutes shorter than Guardians. Um, Hey, let's stick with it. If we keep Guardians going, let's keep Guardians going. Shauna's making. If it doesn't happen, y'all can blame Shauna. come back in the comments and tell us, hey, you guys were
No.
stupid for doubting Fast X. Um, but yeah, okay. So Fast X isn't going to do it. Guardians, for its third week in the row, is number one in the box office. Big movies coming here. Disney's The Little Mermaid live action, and then Kandahar. I can't say the name of the city right, but it's the new movie from. Why can't I think of his name right now? The guy that was in Plane and Olympus Has Fallen and 300, and why can't I think of his name? I'm gonna feel real stupid when I see it here. Gerard Butler vehicle.
Hmm.
I know where I'm going. What do you think, though, Shauna?
It's hard to say, cause so do I have to say if both of them together are gonna knock out Guardians, or like
No,
if it's
just
the Little
if well,
Mermaid
one
is
of these
gonna?
movies. I'll go ahead and put this out here. There's no way where Kandahar
I
is
think
beating
so.
anything. So it's really between Guardians and The Little Mermaid. Something else you have to think about, and I didn't tell you this beforehand, but also you have to think about the number of screens it's playing on. So you know when you go to the movies and like a really popular movie is showing like 15 times in one day, whereas a smaller film might only have like three showings in a day. You know that stuff has to factor into it too. So you have Guardians that are out. It's out at this point. You have Fast X that's out at this point, and then Little Mermaid is coming.
See, but the thing is, so I'm going off of the fact that this is a live action movie for kids
Mm-hmm.
again, and like thinking back to like the Lion King live action, that did pretty good in the box office, right? Live
Lion
action
King is
Lion
a
King.
top. Lion King live action is a top 10 grossing film of all time. It did extremely well. Aladdin did really well too. I think that uh, Jungle Book did really well. Like these live actions bring in money.
I'm saying it might come close, you know? Don't knock it out. I'm just say that.
We are in agreement. I don't think it's even going to come close. I think, especially since Guardians has been out so long, that The Little Mermaid is going to destroy Guardians of the Galaxy. The Little Mermaid, I think, is going to make a lot of money. There is so many kids that are going to see this movie, especially little girls. The movement for um, in terms of what this representation means for little black and brown girls. We've already seen in the media where there's famous celebrities that are like buying out whole theaters for kids to go see The Little Mermaid. It has a little bit of um, a watered down Black Panther kind of feel to it in terms of people that are rallying around this film. And also, it's the first genuine kids movie since Mario. Super Mario came out at the beginning of April. And so it's been April, and now we're at the end of May. It's been 2 months since we've gotten a children's film. This is going to make a lot of money. Little Mermaid knocks out Guardians.
Like, okay, so this is a bit of backtracking, but one of the things when we're talking about like how many times a day is the movie going to be showed, when we're talking about Mario Brothers and Guardians of the Galaxy, one of the things that like contributed to Wakanda Forever not doing that great was the fact that it wasn't shown everywhere. What country was it? Was it China or some who had like delayed allowing people to view that movie?
There was some places in the Middle East didn't like it because it had like that. Pretty much anything that has LGBTQ stuff in it, they'll block it. Like certain countries, I think Saudi Arabia and a couple of countries in the Middle East blocked it, and I think China blocked it for a while for some reason, but they eventually did release it. But I think they blocked it for a while too, which is a huge base for film.
Are we anticipating that with Guardians of the Galaxy? Is there is it being banned anywhere? No.
No, I
Okay.
don't think so. I don't know
Okay.
what would
Sorry to pause.
be I don't know what would be in that film that would be controversial to those Because usually it's like a religious thing, reasons why they're doing it. I don't see anything being blocked that way. Are you excited about the Little Mermaid? They keep
I
they keep
am.
show they keep showing newer trailers, and they're starting to win me over a bit. That first trailer they posted was kind of trash, but they're starting to show some little things. I have an issue with the talking animal things outside of Homeward Bound and Adventures of Milo and Otis, like the old ones. Look who's talking now, but because those are like real animals and these are like CGI animals trying to talk. I don't know, but I'm at least
Yeah.
interested. I'm at least interested. I'm gonna go. Obviously, I'm gonna go. So, Little Mermaid
I
for its
didn't,
first. I'm sorry.
no, I was gonna say I didn't get a lot of the backlash from the first episode, from the first like release, because of the fact that like it was filmed in a cavern. Like if you go back to the original Little Mermaid movie, like that scene was filmed in a cavern, like with all her things. Like so I think that they were just capturing the fact that like it's a dim area, right? And like
I
they
don't.
rolled out there as brighter. Or
I don't
what did
think.
you not like?
I don't think Ariel looked good in the first one. It almost like it wasn't completely edited. It looked. She just looked kind of weird. So when she like the big and then she comes out and she's like big eyed and stuff, and she just looked weird. It didn't look good to me. And then the second one didn't look good either. But then this third trailer looked good. Like they finally learned how to cut it correctly. Um, I think people were really excited about the representation and for Holly Bailey playing it, and she sounds good. She can sing. She gives this little black girl runs at the end of that song. So uh, I don't know. It didn't look good, but now it's got my interest. June 2nd, we have
What's next?
The Boogeyman, which is a Stephen King adaptation, horror film, the first horror film of the summer, and then Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse going against The Little Mermaid.
Spider Man's knocking her out.
100%. 100%. I love horror. I think The Boogeyman's going to do well with its audience. It just is at the wrong place, wrong time. The fact that they decided to go against Spider-Man. I mean, it didn't decide anything, but it just happened. It just doesn't have a chance against Spider-Man. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was such a revolutionary film. This is probably the most anticipated film of the summer, to be honest with you. So, Spider-Man takes its first week.
But I'm still excited to see the Boogeyman, just because I'm a Stephen King fan. Now I'm kind of really excited to see how this is going to be.
The Boogeyman. I mean, Evil Dead Rise was good. Of all the trailers of horror films I've seen so far, The Boogeyman may be the best, kind of like, at least the best mainstream horror film of the year. I say mainstream because there's so many like straight to DVD horror films that are really really good that a lot of people don't get eyes on. There's a little film called The Outwaters I watched back in February that just blew me away. But in terms of a mainstream movie, it's probably gonna be the best one this year.
Do you have kind of a video where you reviewed like but Rinky Dink horror films?
No, I do. I mean, I review everything. One of my things about my skip its, and see it, stream it, or skip it. I watch the bad movies so that you don't have to. There was a movie called The Devil Conspiracy that I absolutely destroyed because it's the worst movie I've ever seen in my life, and that was supposed to be like some sort of sci-fi horror that came out in January, and it was so bad that I just had to like look. I'm not even going to talk about what this film's about because it doesn't really matter. It's just so stupid that I have to warn you. Please don't go see this film. It's terrible. There's another film, Nefarious, that I talked about on another show and put up a clip of. That is a bunch of like religious propaganda, and they didn't really promote it like that. And so you get in there, and it's talking about you guys are the real devils because you abort babies, and I'm like, make it out of here. This is so stupid. It was so boring. It was so dumb. So I will talk about bad films just in general and try to give people the heads up to hey, save your money. We have another big week. Oh, I don't know if this is big. We have two films that one film I'm really excited about, and one film that I'm moderately intrigued by, but I think it'll be really bad. Strays, which is a bunch of talking dogs trying to get back at an owner that mistreats Will Ferrell's character, and then Transformers: Rise of the Beast. It's based off of the Beast Wars cartoon slash comic that came out back in the mid '90s. So both of those films are going to get Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Um, yeah, what do you think?
Ooh, I think Transformers is going to be doing good. And I'm going to say that I'm a Dominique Fishback fan, so I'm excited to see her. But I definitely think like Transformers has like a loyal following. I'll say it'll push it out. Mm.
Dominic Fishback? I don't know who that is.
Did I say her name right? Isn't she in
Oh, it's the
Transformers?
girl from she was in
What is it, Swarm?
The Black Panther movie, Black Messiah, Judas and Black Messiah. I never saw Swarm, but I heard really good things about it. I don't know what else she's done, but I know her from Judas and the Black Messiah mostly. It was like she was in
Yeah,
Power. I never watched Power.
I never watched
Um,
it
I actually don't get a chance to watch a lot of TV shows. 'Cause I watch so many films for work. I just don't have time for it. The I think that Transformers is going to make a lot of money too. I would be very, very surprised if it knocks out Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. There, I just think that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is just going to be in too many screens. I think that Fast
either.
X is still going to have some screens, so it's going to be between Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Not only is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and the Little Mermaid gonna have a lot of screens. They're gonna have the best screens in terms of IMAX and Prime screens and those big screens. They're gonna keep those
Wow.
screens. I doubt that Transformers takes those screens away from them. At least not enough to really make a difference. And those are also the biggest theaters too. I think if for kids, Spider Man is bigger than Transformers. But I do think Transformers is going to make a lot of money. I think that these two movies this week will be close, but I would pick Spider Man as the number one of the June 9th weekend. If that's okay with you.
Yeah, I had to go back. So the last one was Beast Alliance. Yeah, yeah, you're right. I just never know, like, because I feel like I'm sometimes you're out of tune with certain communities. Like, you expect, like,
Yeah.
okay, this isn't going to be great. Someone out there likes it and they're watching it. I'm like, somebody loves this.
And the thing is, the reason why this week is so hard is because usually the summer, the children's movies really kind of hold space, like in terms of hold the box office. You think about all, especially like Pixar stuff, and both of these would be uh, uh, attractive to the same age range of kids. Strays is a hard R that I think that people are gonna. That's not gonna do. I don't think it's gonna do well because of the Boogeyman the Boogeyman and Fast X still being in theaters. I think Strays is probably gonna be our first bomb or our first flop of the year in terms of not making its money back. But Transformers and Spider Man, like I said, I think it'll be close. It's just really hard to think that Spider Man doesn't have more than a 1 week run in terms of being the number one in the box office as anticipated. I mean, the first movie was like a Steph Curry almost experience in terms of how it changed
Yeah.
movies, the first Spider Man. So I don't know if Transformers is offering enough to really knock it out. But there is something coming out June 16th. There's a couple of things that could happen. We have the controversial The Flash film, which some have said is the best superhero film of all time. James Gunn has said that. Um, but it also is dealing with the controversial actions of one, I can't think of their name right now, Ezra Miller, and his cult slash assault type of things. It's just a big black cloak over that film. We have Elementals, which is a Pixar film. Pixar is usually just straight money, but Lightyear didn't do well last year. The movie they had previous to that didn't do well. And also Elemental, they need to release another trailer and release us what this film's about. I'm assuming it's like a love story or a story of friendship. It says talks about opposites react. Um, I don't know if that's going to resonate with small children, but it's coming. I'm excited about it. And then we have The Blackening, which is this is Juneteenth, the weekend of Juneteenth, and it's a movie about these friends who go to a cabinet to basically relax and reconnect, and then they find this game that is like super racist and is trying to kill them off. Basically, it's directed by the same guy who did Barbershop and Ride Along and a couple other films, Tim Story. So those are the three that are going against Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Do any of these three films take the top spot for that weekend?
I think, as you stated, like the only one that I think of completely knocking it out. So this will be the third weekend, right, for Spider Man,
It's the
right?
third weekend for Spider-Man. Uh huh.
I don't think so, because although I'm totally here for We Can't All Die First, because you know, even the title has got me. Um, um, but I don't think it's enough to kind of like knock out Spider Man or Elemental, but I think I'm just kind of interested to see like what the reaction is going to be for Flash. It's possible that it could, but actually no. I think Spider Man's going to hold. It's going to hold.
Spider-Man holds. Okay.
What you think, Brian? What you think?
It's the reason why it's hard is because there is a population of people who can't separate the art from the artist, and I don't have any problem with people who can't separate the art from the artist. It's hard for me to do that as well. And Ezra Miller did so much dirt, and it seemed like all that stuff's being pushed under the rug by the studio. So there's
Unlike
that one
others,
thing. So
unlike
people
others,
may, hmm,
I said unlike others, who's not
unlike
being pushed
others,
under the rug.
exactly. And so, and she's alluding to Jonathan Majors, folks, who are out of know. They're not pushing none of his stuff under the rug. He's all over the rug. He's creating rugs and
His
take that with you
PR
will.
firm, his
Huh?
PR firm through the rug. I think that's
Yeah,
like his PR firm is under the rug. That's
he's
like
done. He's done.
it.
And it's like how bad is this going to get for him? I had him pegged as being our next Denzel. I thought that he was that good of an actor. This movie that he had coming out in the fall, Machine Dreams, whatever, where he's playing this body lifter. They seem like based off of early viewing that he was a shoe in to get an Oscar nom this year. I think all of that's out the window at this point. But unless there's a dramatic turnaround in these cases, but anyway, the flat. So you have that issue, but then also you have the issue of these incels that are so fragile in terms of the way they think about sexuality and sexual fluidity and gender. With Ezra Miller identifying as non-binary, that might set people off and not have them go see the movie either. So there's a couple of different crowds that are on the opposite ends of the spectrums that may not go see this film, not because of what's on the screen, but what's behind the screen dealing with Ezra Miller. But then also there's so many people who are vouching for this film and how good it is. The return of Michael Keaton as Batman by himself may carry this film over. I think it's going to be close from the Flash or Spider Man. I can go either way. Just because Spider Man is kind of old and this is the third week, I kind of want to lean towards the Flash making the money. In fact, it would be very surprising if the Flash doesn't. The more I think about it, doesn't overtake this. We haven't had a superhero movie in terms of live action since Guardians. That's what the summer's about. Um, I don't. I just don't know. I don't know what the reaction to this film. If all that stuff with Ezra Miller wasn't happening, this would be guaranteed. Flash will probably be a four weeker in terms of taking over the box office. I just don't know if that's the case.
So they do say I was trying to look up like are fans boycotting this? Is someone boycotting? You know, but they are, or they're threatening to boycott. So no one's officially done it. So I'm interested to see if they're still gonna film it. I mean, like release it. But I guess there's so much money on the line. It's kind of like
Yeah, they have to do it. It's done. It's over. If they take that $300 million or whatever, how much this movie costs hit, or they don't. Let's just go ahead and say, for the sake, because we got to move on. I told you I'd get you out of here in an hour. And I'm
yeah.
already messed up. So we will do. I'm going to say that the flat. I think the elemental each time of Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse is lunch. So because of elementals coming out the same week, I'm gonna say Flash takes it, and I could be wrong on that, but with elementals coming out that same weekend, I think it takes it. So that takes us to June 23rd, which is No Hard Feelings in Asteroid City. Asteroid City is with Wes Anderson. I love Wes Anderson films, even though I didn't really care for the French Dispatch that much. The View with the Jew just said, "Hey everybody, what's up?" He said it. Thanks for joining me for the live stream. Join us for the live stream. And then No Hard Feelings, which looks hilarious, but also I don't. Wes Anderson films just don't do. Okay, going back to just to speed this up, and you can disagree if you want to. I would say The Flash keeps it for a second week because I don't think Asteroid City or No Hard Feelings is going to have enough screens to overtake it. You really have to be a big movie, and neither one of those films. In fact, Asteroid City I think is was limited released actually on June 16th, so it started off as a limited release, just only in some cities, and then it's going to come out full release this weekend. So the die-hard Wes Anderson fans may have already seen that film anyway, and No Hard Feelings is not taking over The Flash. So I'm going to say neither one of them take it.
I
June
agree.
30th. June 30th,
Well, you get my
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. What do you think?
Indiana Jones is taking it. It's taking it.
I I agree. Indiana Jones, the nostalgia purposes, the last ride for Harrison Ford with his film. Even if it's not good, people who just love this property are going to want to see this film. It's going to take it. So we're going to do this. Next up is Joyride, that comedy that's coming from the same director of Crazy Rich Asians and then Insidious: The Red Door, a horror film that brings back the original cast from the first Insidious film.
Mm, man. I think Indiana Jones, because it's the second week. I think they're gonna stay. Indiana Jones is gonna stay ahead.
I wouldn't be surprised if Joyride takes it, but I'm going. I don't. I'm not
Really?
believing it. I don't believe it that. I mean, Crazy Rich Asians was a phenomenon, and this movie looks better than that one to me. In terms of, at least it looks more funny than Crazy Rich Asians is. I think that crowd is going to come support this film. But Indiana Jones is an institution. So the idea of it not having 2 weeks is kind of strange. So I'm with you on that. So that takes us to
Mhm.
a
But we also have to
very
think
big
about
film.
global numbers. Because I was thinking small minded. Because if
So
it's show like Joy, it's global.
so these are all U.S. release dates, and I base.
Okay.
I think of like when you go to like Box Office Mojo and stuff, it tells you like the U.S. weekend and then the global weekend. And I look at U.S. weekend because these movies open up different times across the country. Like it's not a, like everybody. It's like just because it's coming out on June 30th in America doesn't mean it's happening at the same time in Canada or England. Like England always is like 3 weeks behind us, for example. So I think that the U.S. box office is what we probably should focus on.
Okay.
So Mission Impossible versus Indiana Jones, Dead Reckoning Part One.
Um, I think Mission Impossible, definitely. Mainly, we're talking about the stunts. I think that alone is going to drive a good demand for people.
I agree. I think after what Tom Cruise did with Top Gun Maverick last year, people are going to want to see him in the theater again. I've gone on record to say that Mission Impossible, in my opinion, is the greatest action franchise of all time. Not just because of the stunts, but because of the story and the espionage and the acting and the everything else that comes into those films. And so, Mission Impossible's always make a gobsmack of money, but because of Top Gun Maverick last year, I think it's going to be even more. We're going to go Mission Impossible for its first weekend. Now we're starting to get kind of thin after this weekend. Two big movies, Barbie and Oppenheimer, against Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Okay, so Oppenheimer, that's like it's a very limited audience. I don't think it's going to be something that's going to appeal to everyone. So we already know. Barbie, I have mixed feelings about Barbie. So, but this is just based on the trailer. But I think it's a star-studded cast. So many people. And like my thing is that I feel like sometimes these star-studded casts are trying to compensate for poor writing. Like even in, and it's also just like I felt like I mean there might be a bit more hooks, but like from the trailer I just felt like it was this ditzy Barbie. Like, is there going to be depth? Is it just going to be? I don't know. It just didn't feel like it was like the writing was going to hit home with me. I'm gonna say Mission Impossible is still gonna take kill the lead.
I'm going to veto you this on this, and I'm going Barbie on this. And I'll say it for this reason: one, because the star-studded past. You wouldn't know this unless you looked it up. But Barbie is written by Greta Gerwig and Noam Baumbach. Both of them are Oscar nominated writers, and both of them, in terms of directing, are highly regarded too. Like these are two of the best filmmakers in the world. And so it's not like it's some random people doing this film. I think it's going to be super meta. It's a film that they've been trying to do for quite some time. And Margot Robbie needs a comeback, and I think that this is going to be it. It's just too much talent on both ends, the front end and the back end, for this film not to be good. And Barbie, just like Little Mermaid and some other things, the nostalgia factor of Barbie, I think, is going to carry this film. But I agree with you about Oppenheimer, even though it's a Christopher Nolan film. I think it's going to be a flop, or it's going to bomb significantly and probably making some money back. But I think it's going to be Tenet. People didn't like Tenet so much, and people have short-term memories. And also, I don't think anybody really understands what this film's about. Of course, it's about Oppenheimer and the creation of the atom bomb, but they haven't really did a great job of selling this movie to me. So even though Mission Impossible is probably my movie of the summer, if I'm going to make a bet right now, I think Barbie's going to take this one pretty easily.
But my thing about Barbie, I'm agree with you. I mean, it's your show. Respect that. But my thing is about Barbie and the nostalgia, but I think it's a little bit different when we're talking about the Little Mermaid and we're talking about like Mario Brothers, because the way that I kind of took the trailer or interpreted it was that like it's more towards an adult. Like this is an adult
It is.
Barbie,
It is.
not
It's
something
not.
that's going to resonate with kids. I don't know.
But Mission Impossible is not for kids either. Like I think it's the same audiences going head to head. Um,
The cast may pull everyone in. I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't know. Maybe this one's gonna surprise me. I'm not. I just don't have.
well, you feel
It's
pretty
gonna be
strongly about
enjoyable.
it. You feel pretty strongly about
Well,
it, so
no,
I'll leave Mission Impossible up.
no, 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 no. Let's do Barbie. Let's do Barbie. This is what you do, Brian. I'm just here.
And I can be wrong, 100%. So
Let's do
we'll,
Barbie because I think the cast, as you said, we both acknowledge it's a star-studded cast. It's going to that alone is going to draw numbers. So
we also haven't got the second trailer for Mission Impossible, so I think that once we get the second trailer, maybe it'll really blow people away. But let's go.
I
We
mean,
can't be right all the time. We're gonna be wrong about some of this stuff,
Brad
but I
Pitt
think I think that we'll be
drove
fine
a
with
motorcycle
Barbie.
off a mountain.
Say it again.
Brad Pitt drove a motorcycle off a mountain. That alone, hey.
Oh, you mean Tom Cruise?
Yeah, and we're talking about repeats. I don't know if anyone's gonna see Barbie twice, but I mean, I would have if I had the time. I would have seen Top Gun twice, but you know, I don't know. We'll
So
see.
this
Let's keep it
next
as it.
weekend, the next weekend is Talk to Me, with which is a horror movie that's been directed by these YouTubers who do a bunch of horror stuff on YouTube. It looks pretty good, a lot of young cast. And then Disney's Haunted Mansion is coming out too. Um, I'm gonna do something interesting here. I think that Talk to Me is going to have the horror crowd out, but it's not going to be enough screens. Disney's Haunted Mansion will be in a lot of screens. Hmm. I think that for this week, Mission Impossible makes a comeback and reclaims the box office for this week. And I know it sounds like I'm doing some sort of shenanigans, but I really think that can. It's happened before in the summer. If it's going to happen anytime, it's going to be this one. Like people go see Mission Impossible again for that second week. It's supposed that third week is supposed to going to see Barbie. I don't think Haunted Mansion is going to do well. I think it's going to bomb. I think that Talk to Me is going to do well, but it's not going to be enough to overtake any of these films.
See, you know why? You know why? You know why it's gonna do better? Because people are gonna go for the stars of the cast and see Barbie, and then they be like, "Oh, this isn't that great," and then the numbers are gonna plummet. Is that your reasoning?
I wouldn't like I said. I haven't seen Barbie. I have not seen Barbie. I would not be surprised if Barbie gets some nominations for writing for screenplay once award season comes out. That's how much I believe in Noam Baumbach and Greta Gerwig. They're just that good of writers. And Greta Gerwig has probably directed, I don't know,
Then why
three
would
of my
you knock
top
it
25
down?
movies. Hmm.
I feel like you don't believe in it. The fact that you knocked it down and then then you're gonna bring it back up.
I just think more. I
I
just
don't
think
think you
that
can do
Barbie's going to get. I think Barbie's going to get eaten up by some of these other films. That's all.
it.
I gave it 2 weeks.
All right.
Either Mission Impossible stay on top that second week and then drop to the third week and Barbie takes over, or the vice versa. I don't see any of those films from July 28th ever taking it. So 4 more weeks. Gonna go real quick. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, and The Meg 2.
Yes. Turtles. Yes.
Turtles on the half shell, Turtle Power, they take it. I agree 100%. I don't think there's really any debate for it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem is. We haven't had a children's movie, and Seth Rogen said he really made this movie for kids, even though all audiences are going to enjoy it. He really wanted kids to enjoy it, so it's going to be something you're going to want to take your kids to. We haven't had anything like that for. Well, I guess we had Disney's Haunted Mansion, which is supposed to be more kind of like in the breadth of a Pirates movie, Pirates of the Caribbean. So the first Meg was so fun, but it's not going to do it. So let's do that. 3 more weeks. We're going to go August 11th. The Last Voyage of the Demeter and Gran Turismo. Have you heard anything about these films?
Uh. Okay. I don't think Gran Turismo is going to knock out Ninja Turtles.
We shared that trailer
Why?
on the text thread today. That movie looks so trash to me. It looks terrible. Nobody's going to see that. But go ahead. Like, what is this?
Why is it here? Why is it here, Brian? I don't know that much about. Okay, what is the last voyage of Demeter? What is this?
So it's supposed to maybe not restart the dark universe for Universal. So Frankenstein's monster to Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, the Mummy, all those different franchises. And the Last Voyage of the Demeter is based off like the first chapter of the book Dracula. Or Nosferatu, or whatever it is. So this is like the origins of Dracula. Dracula is on this ship, and he's still like in his bat form, and people are stuck on a ship with a vampire bat type thing. And it's like a horror movie on sea. It looks good. It's not beating Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
So
especially on week two.
not on week 2, no. August 18th, we have one movie, Blue Beetle, coming from DC.
Tricky, tricky. I don't. I'm not sure about this one. I think definitely. Well, first of all, if the Flash hits and this hits, this is gonna be a nice summer for DC. But I don't know. It looks like a good movie, but I don't know if there's gonna be as many. You tell me. What are your thoughts? I'm gonna say
I
no. I'm gonna
I
say
was gonna say I
Turtles is
think
gonna hold.
I think Blue Beetle takes it. In my opinion.
Really?
Teen Titans is such a invaluable property for DC. People know Teen Titans, Blue Beetle's on the Teen Titans, and so there's a huge crowd for that. The comics are more popular than you would think. And the trailer looks cool. There is literally nothing in August that's really like a huge. This is probably the biggest, like, in terms of box office movie of the summer. Not the summer, but of August. August, as you see, doesn't really have a lot going on. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if it came out in May, June, or July, it would never be number one. That's how thin August is. Even though I'm a really big fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, obviously, it wouldn't be number. That's why they probably put it in August. Blue Beetle's gonna overtake it. So Blue Beetle has 1 week, and then the final week is White Bird: A Wonder Story. There's another horror movie that comes out this weekend called They Listen or something too, but they don't even have a poster out, so who knows what that's about. There's a movie called The Wonder that came out, or a Wonder, or one just Wonder that came out like a long time ago about the little boy that has like a disability and his face is kind of deformed and he's trying to like live his life and be positive and he's getting kicked on and all that type of stuff. Well, this is like in that same universe. It's probably based off a book, like a follow up book. It's not beating Blue Beetle. Let's put it there. So, based off of what we've said, these are going to be our top 5 movies of the summer. Number one is going to be our May movie, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number two, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Number three, Mission Impossible. Number four, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And then there's two tied for number five.
I was gonna see which one you're gonna choose. Let's just. Okay, we can do that.
I'm just gonna put them both up here because I don't.
Barbie and Beauty.
No, it's Flash and it's Flash and
Oh, so how come Barbie doesn't make it?
Barbie was only
You
up there for
believe it?
one
You
week.
don't believe in it enough. You
It only
believe
had
in
one
it.
week. It only had 1 week up top. I forgot when Flash comes out. June 16th is June 16th. The Flash, and then the Flash is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had 2 weeks as well, but August makes considerably less money than the other months, so I'm not going to even say it's a tie. If anything, probably the Little Mermaid would be the tied for sixth up here. But we're saying the Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and The Flash will be our top earners of the summer. How do you feel?
I'm with this. I'm not quite sure if I'm interested to see like what the Flash is gonna do. If it's gonna get numbers,
Yeah,
if anyone's gonna boycott. I don't know.
I think we
But
got
I
it wrong.
think our top four. um, I think top four we got that right. I think these are all guaranteed wins.
I think the
Like I
top
don't.
three. I think the top three are solid. Indiana Jones is flaky. The Flash is probably solid too. Uh, I think that we need another children's movie in here, like Little Mermaid or Elementals. I know Elementals didn't win any week, but it's hard based off of like if you go back on Box Office Mojo to any summer, it's very rare you don't have two movies specifically for children, animated movies that are in the top five. It's really rare not to see that in a summer. I think Across the Spider Verse is one of those, but I don't know how Elementals or The Little Mermaid doesn't make it. But hey, this is what we did as we are going through it, so we gotta live by what we said. But if that happens, y'all can come here and beat me up because I should have knew better. But this is fun though. I like doing this. This is the first edition of King of the Box Office. Maybe I'll do this more on like a monthly basis, so it's not so taxing and not so long. But I like the list. I don't love the list. I like the list.
I like the top three. I think the top three is strong. I love the top three. Here for that.
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome.
All right,
Thanks for having me.
so that's pretty much it. I think that we're going to continue to keep eyes on this writer strike, and obviously I'm excited about the summer. Go back and watch our summer movie draft that we did last week on youtube.com/ at Brian Knows Movies. You'll see that myself and two other film critics were picked our top starting five films of the summer. So you can see 15 films that are not just the blockbusters that we talked about here, but there's some smaller films to come out this summer that you can get excited about too. Thank you so much for Shauna, my friend, joining me for the show and helping me to break down all the craziness happening with the writers, as well as go through this first maiden voyage of King of the Box Office. Anything you want to say to the crowd before we sign off?
No. I mean, yes. Yes. Brian knows movies. If you need to know, Brian knows. That cheesy. I don't know. But thanks for having me here. It was fun. So
Yeah, thanks for coming. You heard the plug at Brian Knows Movies. You need to know, you know. I'm gonna make a shirt. I'm gonna wear it next week. Anyway, thank you
you're
guys so
so
much.
right.
Thank you so much, guys. I will see you at the theaters next week.